My name is Marwa Zakharia. I'm CEO of AssetBook, a fintech firm, and I'm very excited to welcome this panel. I chose these individuals specifically because, number one, they're wonderful, but they are also experts and they know all about succession planning and diversity. I'd like to welcome first next to me, Eric Negron.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Negron, the CEO of Forefront. We're actually an RA firm based out of Austin, Texas, and we actually focus on succession planning for business owners.
Great. My name's Kimberly Papedis, and I am the co-owner and co-founder of Fusion Financial Partners here in Carlsbad, California, right down the road. We work with RIAs to help launch them, specifically breakaways coming from the wirehouse, and we also work with RIAs in a growth capacity.
Hey everybody, I'm Tina Powell, partner and chief of community at Intentionally. We are a growth marketing agency located right outside of Philly. I'm also host of In the Suite podcast, so we're on all the major podcast platforms. And I just want to thank Marwa for this panel, and also to Barry's willingness to actually explore hard and challenging conversations. But I know that this is going to be hugely fun for you all, so thanks for your time and attention.
Yes, Barry's a great supporter of this, and Future Proof's been great. No? Can everyone endorse that, right? Big round of applause. Everyone's coming next year, myself included. So I want to kick this off first. Tina, I know that your voice is going a little hoarse because Tina's very popular, as you all know, and so we talk to her often, and she's had a lot of meetings. The breakthroughs have been fabulous. But I want to get your perspective because you've recently transitioned your business, and you've gone on to other things that are just as exciting but different. So I want to get your perspective on what succession plan looks like to you and how you view it from a diversity perspective, and how to set that up for future leaders that are considering it.
I love the question, and if I could define succession planning and what it did for me and our business, is that I really think that it's a 10x multiplier. I think you get a huge multiplier. I think you get a huge lift to your business, all of your metrics and valuation. The short story is this: I sold my company on November 1st to Kelly Waltrick and Megan Richter, the co-founders of Intentionally, and it was the best decision that I ever made in my life. So I think one of the things is that knowing the parts of the business that you want to do, and really knowing thyself and what you're good at. And so when I walked into Intentionally, from a diversity, inclusion, and from a gender perspective, is that I was the only one over age 50. And it was the best decision that I made. My perspectives were welcoming and they were embraced. So I would say that for any business owner here, any financial advisor, please consider it and look at all your options. I didn't come up with the idea and sell my business over a month-long period. I really evaluated my decision over a period of time. I knew my partners. We go back 8 years ago, so I knew them personally, professionally. We had the chance to work together. But I mean, you're looking at some great companies right here, and they're all here at Future Proof. Just be open to exploration and for another definition of your life. And again, succession planning is a huge, huge lift. Rather than trying to organically figure it out. When you join forces, and when you start to use strategic partnerships and your partners, could be force multipliers to your own personal growth and your own contentment, I'll call it, with work.
What are your thoughts, Eric?
Tina really shared a lot of insightful things. I think one of the nuggets that I was thinking about as she was talking about succession planning is when you do succession planning like Tina did, you move from competition to collaboration, and collaboration is the thing that creates a multiplier. And for me, succession planning is really about making sure that your legacy and your body of work continues in some form or fashion. And as we look out today, and all the demographics tell us, is that we're about to have a massive wave of succession planning. So the beauty about being at Future Proof is you see all this diversity in age and ethnicities and experiences. And future-proof is just a play on word. We are the future. The successions that coming, everybody needs to be prepared for that and what that means, and you need to take an active role in succession planning.
So I'm asking this question without hesitation, actually, but it might put you all on pause. Is the next CEO, whether you're in the audience or on this couch, the ones that are golfing with your bosses on the weekend, or the ones that have the Ivy League credentials, or the ones that are going for a certification? Like, I want you to think about that. And Kim, I want your perspective.
It was interesting when we were talking and prepping for the conversation today. We talked a little bit about career path, and there are a lot of young people here today, and I think the best advice we can give is, make sure that you're comfortable with the company that you're joining, but also that they have a career path set for you. And to Marwa's point about, sometimes it's not written very clearly. Actually, most businesses that we work with do not have any written succession plans or career plans for the people that they're bringing in. But when they do, I can probably guarantee you that it's not going to be you have to golf on the weekend with so-and-so, or we have to hang out at the bar afterwards. And I think, that's been a big disservice that we've done to ourselves in the industry, because those people just don't have the opportunity to shine outside of their normal, everyday job duties or skills. And a lot of the conversations that are happening outside of the boardroom are the reason that people are hiring and bringing in more people that look just like them.
I would say here's the reality. If you're a next-gen person here and you're thinking about succession planning, you need to be bold. Nobody's going to abdicate for you. And so it's better that you get yourself ready and not have an opportunity right in front of you than to have an opportunity and not be ready. And I think that would be my call to action for everybody sitting out here, is you have to abdicate for yourself. And the reality of it is we're sitting here at a conference called Future Proof, and diversity is an innovative term, because when you have diversity of thought, of experiences, of ethnicities, of male versus women, of age, like Tina highlighted, you have these unique experiences, and when you combine them together, you can create something innovative. So innovation is the driver of diversity and succession planning.
What are your thoughts, Tina? Is it truly some recipe for success when it comes to how many or who, or how do we do it? How do we do it better?
So first of all, I think that diversity, equity, inclusion, I think DEI is not a principle that's like a 9-to-5 thing. I don't think it's like something that you just like check off the box. I think it's your total mindset and how you approach your life. So it's what are the experiences that I myself do on a regular basis? I'm no different, Marwa, than I am here, than I am outside in real life. That personal, marriage of that professional and personal, that's me. And I love being around people who think differently than I am, who look differently than I am. And look, that's just me. But when you open yourself, and part of this is just like a mindset. Mm-hmm. And the other part, I'll be brutally honest, is like you can't train a mindset. Either you have it or you don't. And so if you're in an organization that doesn't welcome and embrace that, then it might be actually time for you to go and look at other options. I think that this conference really blends itself, and even, all of us being on stage, it's not something that, Matt Middleton and John Swolfs like just figured out that they were going to do. It's everywhere. And just to get a show of hands here, how many are thinking of succession planning right now? Okay. So we've got like a few hands in the audience here. There's just some great companies, and again, I really love the what Eric brought up about like the collaboration versus competition. And I feel very strongly, like, I myself have done it, and I've been on both sides of the equation.
So as an advisor, a new advisor, 1 to 5 years, going into a firm, how do you avoid being put on the sideline, building a book, and getting overlooked, or potentially not being chosen, being the chosen one? Like, what do you do?
That's a great question. I think the first thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that the culture that you're entering into is in alignment with where you want to go. And I think where a lot of firms get it wrong and the advisors need to really think about it is you need to be in a place where ideas and diversity are seen as an asset as opposed to a liability. Some people can't understand the conflict that comes when you're bringing in new folks that are enthusiastic. They're going to want to disrupt your way of doing things. And here's the reality. Change is disruptive. Either you disrupt yourself or you will be disrupted. And if you're a new person, a new advisor that's coming into this industry, you need to be prepared to invest into yourself, into your skill set, and you need to make sure that you're aligning yourself with the people and organization and a culture that are going to give you opportunities. And then you need to be a squeaky wheel, which means you can't say something to your senior leadership once or twice. You need to be popping out of the bushes saying, hey, remember me? Hey, I did these things. So you have to constantly put yourself in a place to be visible so that then people can give you an opportunity to solve problems in the organization and innovate.
Yeah, and I think you need to be, to your point, you need to be outspoken, right? And if you continue to be outspoken and it's just not well received, it's time to bounce. Like, you're not in the right place for you, and it will not change if you stay there and you continue to do things over and over. I can't tell you how many times, I've been in the industry now for over 25 years. Obviously, I started when I was 12. And we see it every single year. There's always an advisor that will come to us and they'll say, right out of college, I joined this senior advisor who was in his 60s. He told me, and I'm using he because that's most of the time, he told me I would be his succession plan, and I came in and I've been working my butt off for the past 10 years, and he's just still holding on. And why wouldn't he be? What would be forcing him to leave? When you came in, you were the one that kind of reinvigorated the firm. Now you're taking care of all the clients. He's out golfing with his A clients while you're taking care of all the B and C clients. You need to get it in writing. There are a lot of firms out there now that will help with succession planning, not just the investment bankers that are there to do a transaction, but ones that you can consult with that will sit down with you and put something together that you can, and help you start the conversation. But you have to get it in writing, or you have to be prepared to leave, because starting a business at 35 years old after you've spent 10, 15 years with someone working with a book of clients that you can't bring is really difficult.
I would add here too is we need to stop viewing succession planning as an event and look at it as a process. The reality of it is if you're thinking about succession planning and you're a few years away from wanting to start working, you've done it wrong. Succession planning is a constant process that you go through your business, and it needs to be woven into your strategic plan. So if you're sitting there, and I was sharing this with these ladies, if you're sitting there and you're doing a SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, succession and diversity need to be both an opportunity, a weakness, and a threat. Because the reality of it is, if you don't focus on it, if it's not in front of you, if it's not part of business strategy, you're missing the trend.
And if I could just add something on the business strategy. At some point, how many people want growth and new client acquisition, right? We're all here to kind of figure that out. At some point, your clients are going to be asking you what your succession plan is. And the greatest marketing, and again, we're a marketing agency, the greatest marketing cannot overcome that hurdle. And so again, if you use it, you can use it as a force multiplier. I keep on coming back to this point. And that is very, very attractive to new clients. Hey, what if something happens to you? But also, too, them being able to see how your business evolves, how you're innovative, how you're willing to promote other people to the C-suite. The other thing is I see a lot of women in this audience. Financial services is an incredible place to be as a woman. We see it right here, Marwa, Kimberly. There is room. There is room for you. Play your cards, get the skills that you need to get it. If you need to learn how to play golf, then play golf. I mean, I did it. I'm not good, but you know what? I got sick of working the golf outing, and I absolutely wanted to play.
I don't golf.
So,
You don't want me to golf.
so whatever it is,
I can drive a mean golf cart.
just be willing to innovate and disrupt yourself. The whole theme, I think, of being here is disruption and innovation. It's the first time that we see in a conference being completely outside. I mean, think about that. Think about the power of where we are right now and what disruptive thinking and different ideas and what that could mean for yourself and your business. I guarantee you'll just be much more content and fulfilled about what you're doing.
So Kim is our stats person, right? So percentage of women in management positions in our industry.
Yeah, it's interesting because we do a really good job as a financial services industry with, and we're just talking gender, I'm not talking about any diversity outside of that, just male, female, we're about 50-50. But when it comes to women in a C-suite level role, or anything actually above middle management, we're at 19%. And it's disheartening to see because I've worked for, wonderful firms that have amazing cultures, and they have these awesome diversity councils and women's networking, and they have someone sitting on the board as their DEI specialist. Yet, one in particular, you look at their executive operating committee, they have 19 people on the executive operating committee, 2 of them are women, everybody is white, and the one person that is happens to have a very high role in this particular firm I'm speaking of, was completely muzzled. She took over the role of a former leader that we both reported to, and now she is sitting in a role where her predecessor had his name in the press, he was very visible at conferences, they had him going everywhere, and now she's sitting in that exact same role, and her picture looks amazing on the website, and they can show that they have diversity, but she doesn't have a voice.
So who has the onus? Because honestly, I don't blame men for that. I blame the women.
I think it's both. I mean, I've never been a yes person. My husband's in the audience; he could tell you. And I think we owe it to ourselves. If you don't want to adapt to someone else's culture or the culture of a company that you don't feel comfortable in, you have talent, you have skills. Bounce. Someone else will take you, and someone else will actually see your talent and allow you to have a voice. But if you're sitting somewhere where you don't have a voice, don't sit around thinking that eventually someone's going to hear you or let you, right?
Not a tree, right?
It happens all too often. We owe it to ourselves to leave.
I think also we've got to foster an environment where people feel safe to speak up. Diversity is about different perspectives, which means you're going to have conflict, right? People are going to say things that you don't agree with. You may have different experiences. So we need to make it safe for people to have discourse, and we need to foster conflict, because conflict and pressure and different points of view are how you create something better. And I think what often happens, I mean, Kim was just sharing it here, a woman comes into leadership and she's not given the same latitude or resources. Somebody has to be the advocate for that person to kind of champion, hey, if we want to have diversity, it's really beyond an initiative. It's about helping other people that have a different path and helping them become better and helping them get where they want to go.
And back to Marwa's question, actually, Kim, you have a great example there. That woman has a choice right now. And so either she can choose to tolerate it or she can change it. And if she needs to, maybe that whole safe environment that Eric is talking about, maybe actually it's not in the environment itself. Maybe we need to hire an executive coach here. Maybe that woman, there's great organizations here, right? I just met with Way from Women in ETFs. They're great organizations and great support systems and networks. Sometimes finding that safe environment or asking that opinion is actually maybe somebody that you know. And I think that you have to be willing to be vulnerable and expressing that with somebody that you trust. And so maybe within your organization that you don't have that trust network, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can build it outside of your company. And again, maybe if I'm that woman, that's probably eventually she's going to hit a wall and make a decision. Either she's going to tolerate it or leave. And again, we can't speak for her. We don't know what we don't know. But again, there are great examples of fantastic companies here who are rolling out the red carpet. You know, my company included, rolled out the red carpet for me. I knew that before I joined. And I wasn't like, what are your non-negotiables too in your own work environment? Like, what do you need to be happy and fulfilled and content? You need to ask those questions, and you need to demand that from yourself. And on the succession planning side, these are things that, you know, interview people who have a long history. You know, look at the behavior of the C-suite leadership. Look at the org chart.
So I want to talk about Eric's firm for a second because it's very impressive to me. He has a financial advisory firm that's growing rapidly, along with many other facets that I can't talk about because there's so many. But he's a very popular guy on LinkedIn. You have to check him out. But one of the things that impressed me, I said to him, just looking at your staff having an initial call, it's like the United Nations in a conference room. Like it is one of the most diverse, eclectic, talented staff that I've ever come across in a very small proximity. Like I was very, and I am very impressed, continue to be. And I want you to just share a little bit about how, you know, your mindset, how you find these individuals, partner with them, and you really do give people, and it's not just about women, it's about, you know, the individuals that you give seats at the table, and you don't play CEO, you play leader.
Yeah, I think it's just good business. We live in a diverse world, but also as a leader, you've got to be looking for talent outside of the normal places, because, you know, somebody told me once when I was starting my career, when you start out, you don't have confidence, you don't have competence, and sometimes you need to believe in somebody else's belief in you until your belief catches up. And so one of my gifts is spotting people who don't even know what they have yet, and then helping them become the person they're supposed to become. And I love looking at diverse people. I love women. I love people of different ages because I'm a curious person, and that curiosity allows me to see different people with different perspectives, which knows that, like, hey, I don't have to have all the answers. These people with different vantage points are gonna help us make better business decisions. And I look at diversity as an asset that we embrace. And I don't care if you're old, you're young, if you're a man, a woman, you know, if you come from different perspectives, if you had money, you didn't have money. To me, that's what diversity has always been about. It's not an initiative. It's who I am, it's how I was raised, and it's embracing other people and their differences.
Eric, you're a rock star.
He is a rock star.
Thank you, Tina.
I'm going to pause for a second. Does anyone have questions, thoughts, weigh in? Because I don't think we have a teleprompt format. Thoughts? Hi, Keith. Yes, no? Okay. What are your thoughts on the businesses that you have sold recently? Are you finding that the buyers are internal or external?
So most of the time, for the ones that we work with, they're external. We work with them up until a point where there needs to be a transaction, and then we'll bring an investment banker in to do the transaction. But we focus a lot on the quality rather than the quantity, right? The investment bankers will come in, they'll talk numbers. Everyone, I think, forgets that we're human beings, and when you build a business for 30, 40 years, it's a very emotional thing to sell your book of business, to join another firm, to merge another firm, and there's a lot of respect that needs to be demanded from both ends of the table, right? Interestingly enough, I think as in the RIA space, so not all of financial services, but in the RIA space, there's actually more diversity and there's more conversations around succession than there is, like if you were to go back to, in my experience, go back to speaking in like the IBD world, for instance. But because most of the teams that we deal with, because they're external to external, it really comes down to the cultural fit for us. So we talk a lot about the cultural fit. What are your plans? Are you leaving completely, or are you going to stay on and continue? And what is that going to look like for you? Because as you know, when you own your business and you're sitting as the CEO of that business and then you sell, you really do have to have that collaborative nature, or know that you're going to be out within 1 to 2 years.
I mean, Kim, you're so right on the cultural fit is a non-negotiable. Totally. And yeah, your ego takes a little bit of a hit. Like, it's not easy. Ego, emotionality, and all of that. This is a very, very complex decision and not something that can be treated casually at all. And I knew, like, the cultural fit for me was a non-negotiable. I knew that wherever I was, I wanted to make sure that I had a voice. I wanted to make sure that I had a seat at the table. That happened into a company that I worked. I was a partner in a wealth management firm. They made me a partner within 9 months. Again, it's like, how do you make a company money, or how do you save a company money? Like, there's got to be some sort of value add that you bring to the business that makes you so, like, intensely valuable to that leader. And once you find that leader who will go to bat for you, hold on to that person for dear life. Throughout your career, there's only going to be few of those people. And and they don't have to even be within your organization. I see that a lot of things, Marwa, that Kim and Eric, I'm sure you agree, we have actually seen the best opportunities happen of women being stewarded through different organizations, through somebody actually outside of the organization. Again, it goes back to, what's the number one problem that you're trying to solve for? There's so much opportunity here for everyone here.
All right, so now we have a question, so we have to talk fast so we don't get yelled at. What can our firm do to entice advisors that match our culture? And how do we know during the interview process?
I think I can. So whoever sent this, if you want to come find me after this, I will give you an interview and guide. I think the first thing you need to do is document what are your core values, and then you need to be asking questions in the interview process that align with those values. And then you need to have some sort of experience with the person that you're interviewing. I'm going to tell you a funny one that I do with people that I get in person. I will purposely go to a restaurant, get there early, and I will ask the waiter to mess up their order, because I want to see how they treat other people in a difficult situation and what type of human being that they are. And so I think you need to have a set of questions that align with the values and the principle of your firm. And then you need to give that person an opportunity to have a voice inside your organization.
We did get another question, and I'm happy to address it also if you want to catch us, just because, again, I know that they run a tight ship here. I appreciate everyone's attendance. We can talk about this. It's not the most exciting topic, but a really important one. Every single one of us here are big advocates of helping and supporting every single one of you. It's not a sales pitch. It is a true advocate of every single one of you to get a seat at the table if you don't have one. We're happy to put one right next to us. But thank you again for attending. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Guys.